everyone, I am Anika from Anika's DIY Life, and today we are building this guy. And this is not just any planter, it is a self-watering planter. So it's perfect for if you have a small backyard or a balcony. You don't have to worry about running a hose or a water supply. It is a self-contained sub-irrigation system built in, so you can fill in water and it lasts for a few months. So it's perfect for people like me who forget to water their plants. Now before we begin building, I am collaborating with my friend Angela from Angela Marie Made to bring you a couple of spring projects. Angela shares easy, beginner-friendly DIY and home improvement projects as well. So be sure to check out her YouTube channel. I have a link to that in the description below. She is sharing how to build this awesome potting bench, so be sure to check that out. But first, let's get building this self-watering planter. The planter body is made using 2x6 boards, and the bottom and the base is made using 2x4s and 4x4s. I have the full cut list and dimensions, including step-by-step plans that you can find linked in the description below. For the body, I cut 6 short 2x6 boards and 6 long 2x6 boards. To build the long side, I lined up 3 of the boards and attached them with a cross support using exterior grade screws. I had originally intended to use 2x2s, but I couldn't find them at my store, so I just grabbed a 2x3 board for this. However, I obviously didn't think this through because I really do need 2x2s, especially for the ends. So I took the ones at the ends off and ripped them down on my table saw to make 2x2 boards. Then I built the short sides by attaching the 2x2 boards on each of the ends. Things were starting to get really heavy, so I moved everything to where the planter was going to finally live and put it together over there. I attached a small side to each end of one long side using exterior grade screws. And then I went ahead and attached the last side. As you attach the sides, you want to make sure that you don't hit any of the screws from the previous steps. Now to make the legs. They're made using 2x4s and 4x4s. I made pocket holes on each end of the 2x4 boards using my crack jig. And then I attached the 2x4s to the 4x4s using exterior grade pocket hole screws and exterior grade wood glue. It is important to be on a flat surface for this step. Again, the details are in the plans that are linked below. With the base built, I decided to stain it in a dark black stain before attaching it to the planter. Once the base was aligned to the planter, I attached it using exterior grade screws. The 2x4s are aligned on the outside, and there is a lip on the inside which I used to lay the 2x4s for the bottom. And then I attached them using wood screws. Okay, at this point the planter is ready. If you wanted, you could just go ahead and line it with landscape fabric and start planting. But we are going to be making it self-watering. So the first step to that is to use this pond liner and line the insides so we can have a nice watertight seal for the water reservoir. I trimmed and attached the pond liner with a staple gun. I find it easiest to attach the sides first before dealing with the corner. So remember, we are not cutting it at all. We're just folding it in so that it is watertight. And that's how we are making these corners, and then you just staple it in. I cut off the excess liner, but now that I look back at it, I probably should have trimmed it down even more. So now the next step is to add this guy. This is a corrugated perforated hose. It's basically a 3.5-inch hose that has perforations in it. So we're going to be covering the bottom of this planter with this hose. Now there are a bunch of tutorials online that use fabric covered versions. There are a bunch that use just this. I couldn't find a fabric covered version in any of the stores, so by default we're going to be using this. I will link to a tutorial below where he uses this and has great experience with it. So we're gonna try this out. Now the first step obviously is to pull this out and open it up. And then we're going to cut it to size of the planter. Cutting the pipe is easy with a utility knife. The key is to cut each piece so they fit nice and snug on the inside of the planter. To make sure no dirt gets inside them, I covered the ends with landscape fabric and duct tape. And then I brought them and laid them out inside my planter. And here again, you want to cover the entire bottom with the perforated pipe. For the inlet, I cut a small flap to accommodate the PVC pipe on one corner of the planter. I cut the pipe at a slight angle and pushed it in just slightly. The fit should be nice and snug around the outside, but you don't want to push the pipe all the way in so it touches the bottom. On the diagonally opposite end, I cut another slot for the outlet, which is going to be a 3/4 inch flexible hose. I cut a slot in the pond liner and made a hole in the planter itself to push the hose through it. So here's where we are at. We've got the inlet right here. It is sitting nice and tight in the first one right here. And we've got it all covered with the perforated hose. And down here, we've got the outlet coming out and going out right here. I gave the entire planter a few coats of a protective stain. I'm using deck stain, which seals the wood and withstands the elements. It is only on the outside and not in contact with the soil in any way, so it is safe. Now we are ready to fill the planter up. We mixed up vermiculite and peat moss in a 2:1 ratio and filled the bottom of the planter. I made sure that the mixture covered everything. It went in between all the pipes and was in contact with all the surfaces. And basically, it covered the pipes completely. Once everything was covered in peat moss and vermiculite mixture, we added the potting soil. Now we did start a few seeds, but they aren't ready to be planted just yet. But I also bought a tomato plant to plant in there because I just couldn't wait. Now to fill it with water. We filled the inlet with water and it took about 5 to 6 minutes for the water to start flowing out through the drain hose in the back. There is a leak behind it and I found out that it is from the slit in the pond liner. I guess I should have sealed it with duct tape. It has been 4 days since we set this up. We've had 80-degree days, but when I checked the soil under the top layer, it is still pretty damp. So I think this is working. Now, how long can I go without refilling the reservoir? I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's a few months. I do have a blog post on my website that I will be updating every so often to let you know how things are going with this, how often I need to refill, how the plants are doing. So be sure to check that out. I have a link to that in the description below. Be sure to check out Angela's potting bench video. If you're looking for more outdoor projects, I have this raised tiered garden bed, which is also perfect for a small backyard. And it can actually be modified to use a self-watering system as well. I also have this simple, quick, easy dining table and an outdoor bar. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out any future videos.